the country's Miss Universe crown holder in 1973, chronicles her travel experiences in a book she calls My Universe. To talk about that, we have in our studio Miss Universe herself, Margie Moran. Margie, great to have you with us.
Good evening. Does this mean I have the final word?
You have the final word, Margie. Yes, indeed. And this book, My Universe, is being called a cliffhanger because of all your adventures around the world.
People don't know that I'm really adventurous since I was a kid.
That's right. I was even told that you took a tricycle from home at the age of 6 years old.
Yes. I was kindergarten.
Uh-huh.
And then this was in San Juan, and my parents were late in picking me up.
Yeah.
And there was this tricycle, which I never rode, asked me, where are your parents? And I said, they're late. Okay, I'll take you home. And it was from San Juan to Mandaluyong. He didn't realize how far it was.
And you got home safely, definitely.
Got home safely.
And just taking a look at this book of 244 pages, it's all about your travels in 77 countries. From the Arctic to Zimbabwe, A to Z.
Correct. Yeah.
And then Margie.
And it's only some of the countries I went to. I didn't write about all the countries.
Not all the 77 countries. I'm sure even this even outnumbers the number of contestants that you were up against in the 1973 Miss Universe pageant.
Exactly. There were only 62.
Only 62 at that time. So, tell us about your climb in Mount Sinai. What challenged you to do that climb?
Well, in the ascent, I took a camel thinking it was easier. But it was 1 o'clock in the morning in the dark, so you don't know what to expect. It was so cold. So you just follow the trail of the camel, and then we had a guide. By the time we reached almost the peak, there's still another 800 meters to still climb. Mm. I hired Ahmed, who's a guide, to help me push me up the mountain. And to see the sunrise when you reach the peak was the most beautiful thing.
And what a memorable moment.
It was, yes.
To see that at the peak.
And people were singing at the peak when the sun was rising. Wow,
I can just imagine it. And my goodness, Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe, you nearly drowned in a rafting trip. Why did you not give up?
Well, I couldn't give up. I couldn't go back.
Oh.
But the funny thing is, well, the thing is, you know, when they give you all these instructions to what to do when you fall, when you actually fall, you'll not remember anything and you just panic. It happened twice. I fell in and they had to fish me out. Otherwise, I could reach Madagascar in the falls.
Wow. And was it fun really writing this book? I mean, you had a lot of rough and tumble adventures across 77 countries. I mean, just remembering all the nitty-gritty details, Margie.
I write a journal. So every time I travel or any, not even on a travel, on my daily life, I write a journal and I write about the people I meet and what has happened. So I remember everything.
Every little detail.
Yes.
Would you write the journal at night or first thing in the morning?
In the morning.
The morning.
I'm a morning person.
Yeah. When your mind is fresh and you still remember all the details from the day before.
Yes, yes. Sometimes even at the end of the trip, I write my journal. I complete my journal.
My gosh, if I were the one at the end of the trip, I would have already forgotten everything that I did from day 1 up until maybe day 30.
It's exciting. That's why I write it down.
And what's really very exciting about also your book, I read that you met one of the most famous painters of all time, Salvador Dali, when you were billeted at the St. Regis in New York. What was it like meeting him? Did you even know who he was?
No, I didn't know. I was 19 and stupid. And he actually came to me and introduced himself in his jewel stick, his cane,
Yeah.
and his fur coat. And then, so we were, he actually always invited me to go out.
What did
for
you think of
lunch
him
there.
initially when he introduced himself to you?
I thought he was weird.
Okay, eccentric.
Eccentric, yeah. I didn't even know he was a famous painter. But I eventually found out later because he wanted to paint me.
Yeah. And why did you not have yourself painted?
Because it was so weird. He was explaining to me.
At that point,
I'm
no,
gonna-
at that moment, that very moment.
19, I wanted to have a portrait of a realistic painting of myself.
Yeah.
Instead, he said that he'll paint me coming out of the wall.
Yeah.
All in white.
Yeah. A cubism.
Yes.
He's a cubist artist.
And I
Salvador
realized
Dali.
later on, years after, that he only painted his wife.
Wow.
So I would have been the other woman.
And when did you find out, Margie, that he was Salvador Dali?
Well,
After.
yeah, after I met him, I eventually found out he was Salvador Dali, the famous painter. And he took a lot of pictures of me, and I didn't take any picture of him with me. So I couldn't prove. I can't prove, except that you just have to take my word
Maybe
for
you
it.
have to go back to his relatives, or maybe to his estate, and maybe those pictures that he took of you still exist, Margie.
Maybe. Well, I don't know how to do that anymore because
Might
that's
be
so long. It's been 50 years.
I know, 1973.
years.
1973. What would be the most memorable time that you will never forget during your reign from 1973 until you crowned the next Miss Universe?
One of the most memorable things that I think I was in the Sun and Cher show.
Yes. You were
And
with Cher. You have a photograph here with Cher.
And I did not have any speaking parts in that TV show because they didn't know that I spoke English. So I was there like, it was a comedy and I didn't speak English.
They never thought that Filipinos could speak English at that time?
I don't think so. And then when it ended, I spoke to them and they were surprised that I could speak English.
And out of all of these countries that you visited, Alaska, Arctic Expedition, Chile, China, Cuba, Disneyland, Bhutan, Croatia, India, all the way to Mount Sinai, Morocco, Patagonia. Well, of course, you have the Turtle Islands, Zimbabwe, Rosales, Pangasinan, Boracay. What would be the top 3 places that will have a special place in your heart?
Well, number 1 would be Greenland because nobody's there. It was the East Greenland that I went to, and I saw the Aurora Borealis and wildlife. It was just like so desolate but beautiful.
And the second and the third places?
I would say the Holy Land, especially now because we passed through Egypt, going through Israel, and that's where the war is taking place. And the third one would be the Turtle Islands.
Turtle Islands. You know, Margie, the Miss Universe beauty pageant in El Salvador is taking place this weekend, and it is so auspicious that you are with us tonight. What are the chances of Michelle D in winning the Philippines' 5th crown?
I think I was a juror when she won the Miss Philippines Universe. And she has a good chance. She answers very well. I think she studied her part well. During my time, there's no such thing.
There was no training.
There was no training. I was just a model, so I knew how to walk. But there was no training. But I think she's well trained. He's already like her second time to join the pageant, so she already knows what to expect.
How different was the training during your time in 1973 and the training today?
Well, the training today is really organized by professionals. Our time, we had no training, and I was just lucky that I was an artist, I was a dancer, and I would dance on stage, and I was a professional model. So I knew how to express myself, I knew how to project myself on stage. It came naturally.
You know, the gap between you and Gloria Diaz, 1969 to 1973, was 4 years. And the gap in between you and Pia Wurtzbach was
40 years.
42 years.
42
years. And the gap between Pia Wurtzbach and Catriona Gray is almost the same, 3 to 4 years. Will it take another 40 years from Catriona Gray to win another Miss Universe crown?
I hope not.
Let's hope it will be coming this coming
Yes.
Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hopeful. And then El Salvador is a nice place also. So, and they are really for beauty pageants like we are as Filipinos. So I'm sure that she's very popular right now.
You know, Margie, this is a very interesting book to read. Where can our kababayans get a hold of My Universe by Margie Moran?
Well, it's on sale at Bench in BGC and also Dimensione in BGC, the two branches of Dimension in BGC.
So if you want to read all of the 77 countries that Margie Moran visited all these years, and I'm sure you will even be adding to this book because there will be a 78, 79, and 80th countries that you'll be visiting. Is there already a sequel?
I haven't thought of it
behind
yet.
this?
I don't know. It's to me this is important because it's 50 years after Miss Universe and I turned 70. So it's my...
No way, you're 70.
Yes.
No, you're not, Margie.
So this is like my piece of remembrance to people.
Thank you so much for
Thank
joining us on The Final Word. She indeed had the final word, My Universe. Margie Moran, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rico.